Hello, darklings, lightlings, everyone in between, and my hybrids. Got something cool to show you, and it's kind of what we're talking about today. So, welcome. If you're returning, I love you guys. You know that. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. We talk about some interesting stuff here. And if you hear any noises, sorry, my little Floki is hanging out. So today I wanted to talk about spirit boards. Oh, that's upside down. Spirit boards. Alright, I got this really cool one. It's a double board. And here's the planchette. And it's so blue. Pretty awesome, right? Yeah. I just love that goat. Alright. So we are going to go over the history of the spirit boards, learn some interesting stuff about it, and also talk about like how it's used then versus now. And I know there's a lot of fear when it comes to the spirit boards and warnings and this or that. Honestly, I can't say I've really had a horribly negative experience, and I do use it like alone. I know, carnal sin, but nothing bad has ever happened really. I did have one a few years back that started, talking some shit to me, so I did bury it. But yeah, if you have any Ouija stories, let me know in the comments. I want to hear it. So for a long time now, humanity has had this fascination or obsession with contacting the spirit realm. Also, maybe experiencing something supernatural or some sort of communication with the spirit realm, and trying to prove if it exists or not. We've developed many tools to aid us in this service. Like, examples could be pendulums, seances, dowsing rods, black mirrors, but the most notorious, I think, is the Ouija or spirit board. Death is a well-known cycle of life, and everybody either runs to it or away from it, fighting, to prolong what is the inevitable. I think the mystery in it kills us, doesn't it? Something about being able to connect to the spirit world really motivates us to dabble or use these tools, right? Our community is probably very familiar with a lot of these tools and probably uses them on a regular basis. Let's talk a little bit about the history. So the very first known spirit board to be made was in the 19th century, marked with the alphabet and the numbers 1 through 9 and 0. Usually goodbye is at the bottom of the board, and you have yes and no in the corners. And there are various types with various different symbologies. The planchette, or the tool that you move across the board, or that moves across the board with the eye on it, with the hole, is kind of the key and what the spirits use to connect through your energy to move the planchette, to gain knowledge, have questions answered, or to just have messages delivered to you from the other realm. Now, that being said, I should have said Ouija. The actual spirit board, earlier when I was explaining the board, I said spirit board, but I should have said Ouija. The spirit board is a lot older than the Ouija. In ancient times, similar tools were created and found, used for divinatory aid, or even rituals or seances of their own. Pythagoras, a philosopher from the 6th century, was even said to have used talking boards or spirit boards. In the 1920s, seances became really popular, using things like tables, with inscribed letters or symbols to receive messages. And they would have it in a way where they could spin it, which is really cool. I want one of those. Now, in pagan times, they have found tables like this, but made out of stone. And in ancient Greece, people would use plates with the alphabet and numbers inscribed on it, and they would use a wooden triangle type of tool for the planchette, and they would receive messages from the spirit world in that way. The Chinese had used spirit writing, or forgive me if I mispronounce it, but is it Fuji or Fugai? Using a planchette in sand as far back as 220 AD. They believed that you could not only communicate with spirits, but gods and other beings and other things of higher consciousness. Now, going back to pagan times using this, it is said that in those ancient times they would have shamans, mediums, or like seers interpret the messages. So your everyday people would not interpret it, but they would focus their energy in order to aid these leaders, so to speak, to receive the messages. So they kind of work together to practice that. And this later brought the term medium into spiritual practice. In modern times, we learned that, pretty much anybody can do this. I find now, going back forward to like the 1920s and so on, circle seances, when they became popular, devised traditional ways to use the spirit boards. Some of those traditions we still use modernly, like communicating at night or in the dark, because it is said that light energy can disturb the spirit communication. Typically, a medium would lead the circle, and before they started, they would all chant like a protection prayer, which prayer, spell, same thing to me in a way. Yeah. Now, everybody that was present at the table had to give complete energetic focus on the spirit they were trying to connect to, or on their task at hand, as the medium would speak the questions or answers of what they connected to and felt impelled to exchange or tell the circle. So there was no like, oh, is this real, or laughing or talking during it. This was something that they took really serious. In 1891, the Ouija we know today was invented by Elijah Band, marketed as a toy or a game. Many reports or accounts from users have said that this should not be used as a game modernly. In 1966, the Parker brothers purchased the patent to the game, and sales were revived with, like, pretty much it rivaled Monopoly at the time. That's how big this game was when they had bought it over. And that's how it became extremely popular. So, modern rules that you will typically hear when you want to play or connect to the spirits. I wrote them down for you. Number 1, don't allow the planchette to fall from the board. I can agree with that. However, in my experience, I don't know about other people. It has fallen before, but nothing ever came of it. 2, always say goodbye. I completely agree with that, because when you are connecting with them, especially if you are like me, a medium, or you have any of these abilities, like we all do, it's just a matter of being conscious about it and like tuning into that. But you are essentially opening up like a little portal, and you want to close that when you are not in conscious access of it. 3, never taunt the spirits. I do agree with that as well. I think they deserve respect like we do. And what would you do if somebody taunted you or disrespected you? 4, never play alone. Yeah, I break that rule. I break that rule, guys. Sorry, not sorry. I've had great results. 5, select a leader. Only they talk. No laughing or speaking. Take it seriously. I agree, and perhaps that's a bit more powerful if you use it in a circle or with other people. And your leader may not have to necessarily be a medium, but just, select someone. And I also think that somebody else should be there, present, not interacting, but writing down the messages and the conversation so you can refer back to it. It'll get really interesting. Alright, 6. After ending the session, don't leave the planchette on the board. I've done it, but also I would heed it. Probably shouldn't, but if you close it, it should be okay. In my experience. If the planchette makes a figure 8 or starts counting down or going through the alphabet, usually backwards, say goodbye immediately. I agree. This is what I talked about earlier with my old board. It had started making figure 8s and counting down, and it had called my mother a bitch when we were playing with it, and I was just like, yeah, okay. But then I didn't even want to give it like a chance. If something did attach, I was just like, alright, well, I'm detaching you, myself energetically. I'm taking my energy away from that, and I buried the board. 9, don't use it in a cemetery. I've never done that. I'm not sure why that rule's in place, but I mean, do at your own risk. Probably wouldn't suggest it though. That's a lot of entities you're trying to, but also at the same time, are we not on a cemetery at all times? How many people are buried under your feet? How many people have died in your area? So I wonder, is some of this superstition or accuracy? I like to break rules. I like to test and taunt myself, push myself when it comes to the occult or things. I'm willing to pay any price, if it kind of blows up in my face. I just want to know. I want to experience it. Although I do heed and I use precautions, I try not to be stupid about it. Not saying I haven't been, but just saying. Alright, never burn the board. Agreed. Bury it and separate from the planchette if you have issues with it. Or if you're feeling uncomfortable about it. There's been stories of boards being thrown away and then returned. So yeah. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. And I was wondering, would you be interested if I had done maybe some videos of seances? Okay, I love you, and let me know what you use for spirit communication. I'm curious. Yeah, and I'll see you soon.